I always enjoy the little voice there. Welcome so much. We're so glad to have you here with us today for Champions of Change, how local businesses can build safer schools, stronger workforces, and healthier communities. Thank you so much for joining us and hope you're staying cozy and or cool out there wherever you are. Um, my name is Heather Horning. I work for the Drug Free America Foundation. We're a drug prevention and policy organization committed to developing strategies and educational programs that prevent drug use and promote sustained recovery. And more in particular, I'm the program manager for the National Drug Free Workplace Alliance, also known as NIDWA, and we're the workplace division of Drug Free America Foundation. Our mission is to be a national leader in the drug-free workplace industry by directly assisting employers, stakeholders, providing drug-free workplace program resources and assistance, and supporting a national coalition of drug-free workplace service providers. And getting you hooked up with, like we're going to talk about today, some things that could really benefit your business, that could benefit you, your employers, your employees. And if you're joining us from coalitions, what you can do, especially with the youth in your life and kind of pushing them towards a drug-free life and a drug-free workforce. If you haven't already, I do invite you to introduce yourself and your organization in the chat box. And we do ask just to, so I can keep track of everything. If you have questions, please pop those in the Q&A box. That will just help me keep track of them a little bit better. The content provided here is for educational purposes only, based on industry expertise. It is not legal advice, express or implied. Consult legal counsel before acting or not acting on any information in this webinar. Well, with all of that business stuff aside, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Angie Ferguson. She is the executive director of Drug Free Clubs of America. Angie began her journey with DFCA back in 2005 after a conversation with her father, a firefighter and co-founder of the program, sparked her passion for prevention. For nearly 20 years, she's dedicated herself to empowering teens to make healthy, drug-free choices and building partnerships across healthcare, education, business, and community service. Under her leadership, DFCA has reached more than 80,000 student members and earned national recognition, including awards from the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's my absolute pleasure to have Angie with us to talk about this program. It's a pretty great one. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and get you set up with Angie.
Hey, it's nice to meet everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am going to share some slides with you, but I first wanted to just thank you for showing up for this topic. Prevention is something that sometimes in the scope of prevention, intervention, addiction, treatment, rehabilitation, sometimes prevention doesn't get the time and attention that we all hope it does. I saw some prevention specialists in the chat. I saw a researcher. Thank you, everybody, for the work that you do to forward this. It's not the easiest part of the substance use disorder schema. So I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm just going to share my screen in generals because I'm going to hop back and forth between a few different tabs here. And let's start with my presentation. So I'm sharing this through a PDF format. I have forwarded these PDFs to Heather so she can share them with each of you. If you have any questions after we conclude while we go, just go ahead and leave them in the chat. I think Heather is going to say if you have any questions, and we can go from there. So is that right, Heather?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's start by just talking about the opportunity today, because each of you, through our strategy, have an opportunity to do something about addiction in your communities. We have created a platform, a strategy that requires very strong partnerships in order for it to be successful. I love collaboration. Drug Free Clubs was built on collaboration. I saw that Janet Rouse is here. She's from Safe Launch in California. They're a strong partner of ours. We are very flexible with the way in which we work with other prevention-minded entities. So in what you hear today, if there's something that strikes you and you think, oh, I'd love to do that, but could we do this or this tweak, or how would I make this work in this environment? Please just reach out to Heather or I, and we can talk that through. But for now, our goal is to, as business leaders, to help us carry forward the initiative of prevention to build a stronger workforce. So, how do we do that? Let's start by talking about the importance of it. COVID made it very obvious to us that a healthy community is what is necessary for businesses to thrive, for the workforce to be reliable. When schools and families are healthy, your workforce is stronger, your business is more successful. So, addiction as a health threat erodes that foundation of wellness. So, let's look at the costs of it. For all you numbers minded people in the audience, there's usually heart people and head people. So this is for the head people out there. We've got some heart for you a little bit later on. So for the people that are very numbers based, the fact that addiction costs the United States $820 billion annually is sickening to me. That is 2.5 times more than there are number of citizens, according to the census. So if you think about that number and then you drill down, okay, what is it that those billions of dollars go to? 11 billion is just in healthcare costs. And you as business owners know what has happened with your premiums, you know what has happened with your coverage, you know how hard it is to get good healthcare and to be able to afford it. So 11 billion of that number goes just to healthcare costs associated with illegal drug use. Then lump on top of that 161 billion is related just with prescription opioids. Sometimes needed, sometimes not. We can debate that all day long. It has its role, but $161 billion associated with prescription opioids. So what can we do about it? There are proven strategies that can make a difference. The ROI on prevention is quite good. For every dollar that is invested in effective prevention, there is a return of $5 to $10. And the National Institute on Drug Abuse has said that you can actually recover about $12.88 in community savings for every dollar that's invested in prevention up front. So if we are going to work smarter, not harder, if we're going to be fiscally minded in how we attack addiction, this is something to focus on to say, where can we get the most for our money? It is certainly in primary prevention. The students sitting in the classrooms right now are your future workforce. They're our future workforce. Everybody in this virtual room, they're probably your future workforce. Our task then is to find a way to prevent their substance misuse, to get them in a place where they choose to continue to stay drug free so they become reliable employees once they enter the workforce. All of that on top of the potential that they realize that they might not realize if they started using, the happiness, the fulfillment of life, all of those things that make the work-life balance something that can be pushed along and thriving throughout your workforce. So what can we do if you're a business that you may struggle with getting employees who can pass the drug test? I know I've spoken with members of the military that say they have a hard time getting people to enlist that can pass the drug test. Manufacturing, my husband is a plumber. I know in his trade, they have a hard time. It's across the board. So when you look at the addicted adult population, this statistic is the most key thing to focus on. That 9 out of 10 of the currently addicted adults had their first use of an addictive substance when they were a teenager. 90%. So if you think about that, that means that teenagers preserving their state of being drug free is really the only way that we can build a more drug free adult population, a safer drug free workforce. We work with teenagers in grades 6 through 12. So the workforce or the future workforce that we work with isn't even that far off. So by getting involved and by engaging on this topic, you will be able to realize the benefits of that work within just a few years. Some of you, if you employ teenagers right now, you may realize the benefits of it right away. Others, it could be a few years from now. It could be when they finish trade school, when they finish college, when they are done serving. So, but it is not that far off. It is a worthy investment of your time and resources. This is what the firefighters who started drug-free clubs had in mind, was how do we protect young people and helping them to stay drug-free? Not just invest money in rehabilitation, not just invest money into treatment. Let's invest into the prevention side of things. So this is one of our founders who's going to tell his story about how it is that they came to start drug-free clubs.
Probably in 2004. We had a really busy day, but when I say busy day, we had 30 and 40 runs a day, and two of the runs we had were on overdoses, and the second one was a 13-year-old boy who we could not revive, and it really struck hard. And when we got back to the firehouse, myself and another guy, we were sitting in the office by 11:30 at night, and decided, you know what, we got to do something to help this situation because it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it continues to get worse and worse. So anyway, he and I came up with this idea that we would start a foundation uh, whereby instead of trying to rehab kids who are already involved with drugs, we're going to try to make it the cool thing that they don't get involved with drugs. So what we're going to do, we're going to start a club whereby they all voluntarily get drug tested, and they will get randomly drug tested up to 4 times a year. So they never know when we're going to be there. And we got the community involved through all the different businesses, so every day when they're out there, it's a positive reinforcement. The kids see it and the parents see it, and it's just a win-win-win situation. So
that is one of our founders, Joe Newcomb. He is also my dad here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been with the organization since 2005, since we started.
Tirelessly to keep things running, everything would set.
I'll close that out. Yeah, so I've been here for 20 years. I've seen this program grow. Our program director and I have been here from the start, along with my dad and another firefighter who got it started. So the process of scaling it and figuring out how do we grow beyond our own community here in Cincinnati, Ohio, has been a really interesting ride. I'm sure some of you with your own businesses have been through figuring out scalability and resources and partnerships and things along those lines. And it's been an interesting journey. But what I'm most proud of is the way in which this strategy has proven that it makes an incredible difference in keeping students drug-free. And I said
agree.
that a little.
Angie, can you
Yeah.
just pop it back into full screen mode for us?
Oh, it says it is there. Is that
There
better?
it goes. Yes. I
Awesome.
think it just got confused when you put the video up, so.
By it, you mean me?
No,
I
always
did.
technology.
Yes, I did. Always blame the tech. No, that's okay. That's okay. So, this strategy, it's been really interesting because what we learned over the years is that the way that you make a difference with helping teenagers stay drug-free so they become our later non-addicted adults, our stronger, healthier workforce. The way you do that, the most powerful way to do that, is to have them impact each other. So our program starts with student leaders. They are learning leadership skills, but they're also leveraging one of the strongest forces in their social lives, which is that peer-to-peer influence. So when you start with having teenagers create the details of their own program, you start to see a switch where they're thinking, oh, okay, I did that. I'm proud of that. I'm building confidence related to that. Then they start to talk to their friends about it. Then the initiative grows. So Drug Free Club starts by engaging student ambassadors to lead the project. When somebody chooses to become a member, they have to pass a voluntary drug screen in order to become active in the program. The drug test results, though, do not go to the schools. They go just to parents. And we have resources as follow-up for the occurrence where they have a positive drug screen and they need some information. We have a school counselor on staff with 34 years of experience in the schools that has conversations with parents and even with teenagers after we discover, okay, the lab found this substance in your sample. Let's talk about that. We also have a partnership with St. Elizabeth Healthcare in the Northern Kentucky area around where I live. And their substance use disorder professional team will talk to any parent for free to guide them through resources in their communities and how to take next steps. But once a student passes that drug screen, they become an active member and they start to reap those benefits that you heard Joe talking about in his origin story, all the fun stuff associated with it. And those fun components are exactly what the student ambassadors create. Because we don't necessarily know exactly what resonates with teenagers, right? We might think we do until you ask a teenager and they're like, no, you're so far off. So put it in the hands of the ambassadors, let them create those details for themselves, and you'll see them saying, yeah, we want to go to the front of the lunch line on chicken nugget day, or we want to get a car out of the parking lot 5 minutes early. We want discounts on prom tickets, or we want to get in free to the basketball game. Things like that that are readily available inside of the schools at very little cost. So that's the positive reinforcement component inside of the schools. In the community, we have a mobile app that has an ID card. It's a digital ID card that can be generated at the school or in the community to show that a teenager is in the program. And then we have over 1 million rewards throughout the United States loaded into that mobile app for them. So they get discounts at places like BW3s. They can get flight discounts for the family for vacations. They can get all kinds of different things. It really is just endless, the amount of discounts and rewards they can get in their community. You as a business can also choose to offer rewards. If your community has drug-free clubs, or if you help your local schools start drug-free clubs, and you have a business, let's say you've got a some type of a restaurant and you can offer a free appetizer when a student shows their ID card. Or if you've got an insurance company and you want to do a raffle off a gift card, a Starbucks gift card on the first Friday of every month or something along those lines. Those are all ways that you can get involved. And we'll talk a little bit more about the opportunities there. But prevention science shows the best way to be effective is to engage the community, the family, and the school all around the teenager with the same consistent message. So through these positive reinforcement opportunities, testing at school, family engagement, that's how we can really meet that sort of gold standard in prevention science. And then throughout the school year, our school counselor on staff, she curates education that goes out to parents, goes out to businesses to help them with topics that they may be struggling with their own workforce, and then with schools. So if you as an employer have an issue, or if you're curious or want to stay abreast of what's happening in this space, you would get monthly information from us as well. So those are the 5 strategies that make up the success that we've had. When we are looking at prevention, those amazing numbers that I told you before about the return on investment, those only count if the prevention is effective. If the prevention can't be shown to be effective, then you're not really getting a return on your investment. You're just investing. So what we set out to prove, what we were seeing every day, We knew we were having an effect on keeping students drug-free, but we wanted to prove it. So we secured a grant from a local organization called Interact for Health. We had independent evaluators go over our program. I saw that there's a researcher in the audience, so I'm happy to share any of our research with you. We went through 3 rounds of independent evaluation. There's a slide I did not include here that identifies the behavioral model that says, okay, this is why this works. But these are actual outcomes, pedal to the metal, what do I get for my money, right? So the students have been shown to have 9% fewer offers. So the teenagers that have been peer pressured into things on Friday and Saturday night, their friends are offering them substances. And they say, no, no, no. And then with drug-free clubs, they say, I can't because I might get tested. Because they're seen going to the front of the lunch line, it is visible that the students are getting up out of class 5 minutes early to go get their car out of the parking lot. So they must be in drug-free clubs. So they must be passing drug tests. Because we are able to make being drug-free a visible state, they're reducing the number of offers that they get. Their friends are no longer pressuring them. They can also then see that they've got more drug-free friends than maybe what they thought. Students, actually adults, we all tend to think everybody's using drugs, everybody's drinking, drugs and alcohol are everywhere. It's just not true. And it's an impossible misconception to battle unless you make the choice of staying drug-free a visible thing. So the members can see, I've got more drug-free friends than what I thought, 10% more improvement on how many drug-free friends I think I have. And then also 11% of the students said they relied on drug-free clubs to help them stay drug-free. We've served over 90,000 memberships. One student can have multiple memberships. It was a little over 50,000 students. And about 91% of our teenagers said that they would recommend drug-free clubs to others. So when you think about our average participation is about a quarter of the population in a school, 26%. If you think about other prevention clubs, like when I was in high school, our club related to substance use prevention was maybe a dozen kids if we were lucky. And I went to school with 2,700 students. That's what prevention programs struggle with, is that participation. But since this is simply a belonging, it's a bit of an insurgence, but it's all fun. So because you can just be a part of it without needing to do presentations and make posters and all of those things that require a different strength of character, you can just belong and have the availability to say, I can't, I get tested. So what does this mean to you? This is really where it hits the message for this particular audience. If we are able to build a greater drug-free teenage base, we're able to have more drug-free adults. You have a more dependable workforce. You have less turnover. We have a stronger economy. And if you get engaged, bring it to your community, you have a more positive business image. A lot of companies tell us they would love to get engaged with their local schools. It's incredibly challenging. And schools, rightfully so, should safeguard where they sit with allowing students or others to come in and influence the school environment. Corporate social responsibility is something that you've heard probably as a buzzword. But the reason why I wanted to include this is because by having a strong engagement, you are able to do workforce readiness at its earliest and its smartest stage in a way that's the least expensive to the future outcome. It's positive PR for your business. You can make a measurable impact, and you can see the impact of your work in your community. That's better for your brand. It's better for the reliability of all of those people who make your business work. And it really builds connections in your community. When you're a business that can be shown as being engaged on the topic of substance use prevention, they say, okay, this is a business that's a leader. This is a business that cares. So how can you do it? As I said, We are a strategy that exists in Cincinnati, Ohio. We have a proven method. We have everything spelled out step by step, but we are a massive staff of 6. We are very lean. So we rely heavily on partnerships like Safe Launch, Janet, that I mentioned, that's in the audience, like Rotary. The Rotary clubs have an action group called the Rotary Action Group for Addiction Prevention. We have a partnership with them. If you're a Rotarian, look up the RAG app, Rotary Action Group for Addiction Prevention, and see if there's something that you can do. They have funding available for this. If you simply want to make a difference as a business owner in your community, you can do a few things. Number one, find out what your school is currently doing related to prevention. Are they doing anything? You might be surprised with a simple phone call or a search on their website. Many schools are not doing anything on this topic, and the responsibility for this rests very heavily at their doorstep because of that precious age range where if we can keep teenagers drug-free, they're far less likely to ever face addiction. So if your school is doing something, and if it's making a difference, if it's showing that it's having an impact, support it. If they're not doing something, or if what they're doing is not showing to make a difference, tell them about Drug Free Clubs of America. Tell them you can connect them with Heather. If you're in Florida, definitely they're a trusted resource in that area. I saw a lot of people from Florida in the audience. Most of the schools in that area will know the wonderful work of the Drug Free America Foundation, not to be confused with Drug Free Clubs of America, which happens. So we are 2 separate entities, but we are collaborative in nature. Tell them about Drug Free Clubs. Ask any questions you want to ask. If they say, yes, we would like to have drug-free clubs, but we simply can't afford it, you guys know about all the cuts that have recently happened. Corporate social responsibility has never been more important. That is the entire foundation behind the cuts, is to say, okay, if we put more money into the communities, we allow them to make their own differences, to choose who it is that they want to give and support rather than it being top heavy. So please choose to invest in a cause. With drug-free clubs, the cost for an entire school chapter is about $9,000 a year. To have this much of an impact, to have better branding in your community, to have a connection with your local schools, and to build a stronger workforce. That is an incredible return on your investment. In doing that, there's goodwill, there's loyalty, and of course, the positive availability of your brand to the rest of your community that we talked about. To end, I'm going to just show you a video of one community that has drug-free clubs. This is in Ross County, Ohio. If any of you are familiar with the book Dreamland, Dreamland was a public pool in the neighboring community to this county. So this is rural Ohio, multi-generational addiction. They have really been hit hard by this topic of substance use disorder in their community, with their parents, with their grandparents. And in that area, we have thousands of students in drug-free clubs. Every year they get together and have a rally where the students stand up and talk to each other. They are the ones that make a difference in that entire day, showing the community that they are not standing for this any longer.
The purpose is to bring all the kids together from schools all across Pickaway County, even farther than that, and just rally as drug free as one, in hopes to gain more followers and support.
A is for drugs. Future is key. Stay drug free.
We had a bunch of kids from all around the county, rallying together for one cause, something bigger than themselves, being drug free and living happy lives. and letting the whole town know it, letting the whole town know that we're happy and drug free.
I think that is so important that we are giving kids hope and giving our peers a sense of trust to one another and giving them the drug-free life. Thank you.
I would say if you ask any of the kids here, almost any of the kids here, they probably know someone, kid or adult, who struggles with addiction. And so us just being here together and standing up against that is a huge deal. Because there are so many kids back to the schools right now, or parents or grandparents that are at home right now who are struggling with addiction. So us being here and standing up against that is a huge movement for our generation because it's a problem in our generation. There's a lot of kids in our school that their parents or their grandparents or somebody deals with addiction, and there's like nothing anybody can do about it.
I think this year is a really big turning point for us. I'm finally seeing groups of kids join that were hesitant before. And so I think that they're all finally becoming comfortable with, oh my gosh, this is a good thing. And it is a cool thing to join.
So to me, being in drug free really just means being a role model. I like the opportunity that DFCA gives us to show people that you don't have to do illegal things and you don't have to do drugs and you don't have to drink to have fun and to really enjoy life. And that's what I like. It sort of puts a little shield on you. So if people in your school know you're drug free, it kind of pushes them away from like offering you drugs or giving you the chance to do it.
From the first year now, I would say I'm definitely way more informed about like all the things that are included in drugs and how to stay away from them and just how to like keep myself together and be a positive person about it.
This has been a part of so many kids' lives growing up with drugs in their community and in their houses, and changing that and breaking off those chains is really important. Really something to be proud of.
It's a really good environment, and I would recommend it to anybody. Like after we walk down there, it's super like special for everybody, and there's a lot of people pouring their heart out, and it's really an amazing like environment.
Think of how many lives you can save with this club, how many people you could save, and how many overdoses you could prevent, how many chains of drug runners you could stop. Just think of the ways that this could impact not just one person alone, but so many kids of America. It really impacts a lot of.
Okay. So I did include for you, I just absolutely love that video, and thank you to Janet Rouse who interviewed those students while the rally was going on. That rally is put together by members of a community, and actually it was started by a retired police officer who said, I really want to get all these kids together and make a show of the way that they have showed up and showed out for staying drug free and not afraid to hide it. We've heard from teenagers over the years that they might start in freshman year saying, oh, I joined because I wanted the pizza, or my mom made me do it, or my coach really wanted to see me join. And then by senior year, they're saying, I almost don't even like the rewards because it takes away from people thinking I'm doing it because I believe in it. We hear from siblings that say, I couldn't wait to get to high school to do this because I know my older sister did it or my older brother did it, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So the way that this has a ripple effect across communities and across generations really can make a massive difference in your community. I hope that you will consider being the generation of business owners that makes prevention a priority. It is truly the way that we can build the healthiest communities and the most productive workforces for the better lives of our students. These are the resources that I cited throughout the presentation. Sometimes we throw numbers around and we're like, where did they get those numbers? So I wanted to be sure that I included all of that information here for you. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or Heather, if you have anything you'd like to add. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. It's really great to see. I mean, I'm a former high school English teacher and a very, very soft spot for, the youth and the teens in our lives. And I know absolutely how they can be. And I know a lot of people on this call today also know um, it can be hard to convince anybody, adult or kid, to do something. And it really looks like these clubs do a fantastic job and just showing you, hey, you might join in for getting at the head of the lunch line, but there's so much more to it. So it's just really great to see that.
And it's really interesting to see the evolution over time from
Yeah.
just, oh, I did it because I had to, oh, wow, I really love it and I want people to know about it. So, especially as business owners, when these students, when you have drug free clubs in your community, and you can really have a cue about the choices that a student is making by saying, are you in drug free clubs? There's some of our communities that give our students more per hour on their paycheck because they're in drug-free clubs. There's some of our communities that if the employers know about the initiative, they will give them priority for interviews. This is a fantastic model for career tech schools. If you've got career tech in the community, great credentialing for any of that. It really just has endless applications.
Absolutely. And definitely as a business owner, seeing all of those potential things, even just seeing it on a resume or CV to be like, hey, what's this? It was definitely something that's going to make you stand out. So I know those people working with teens that are here today, it's, sometimes that's the gateway into, hey, you should think about joining this, is to think about where it's going to take you in your workplace or your college admissions, or that sort of thing. So that's fantastic.
Very true.
All right, this is your reminder, folks. We've got time. We would love to entertain any questions you've got. I didn't see any come through in the chat, so if you've got some, we'll take them. All right, we do have a question. Thanks, Janet. What are a few ways that business owners can directly advocate to start a drug-free club in local schools? Great question.
I would say start out by talking with your local school. Of course, you have the opportunity to contact me, and I'm happy to talk you through the process. I'm going to follow up with information. I've already sent Heather one flyer to share with everybody today. You can really just inform your local schools about the availability of this program and say, hey, I would really love to see this available to the teenagers in our schools. Can we make this happen? And like I said, we've got it spelled out step by step. We've got training, we've got all the support available. We just need champions to bring it to your school. Inform them about drug free clubs. Let them know about the proven difference that it makes, because sometimes that is the stumbling block. Schools have tried prevention for years, and maybe they tried a program that did not prove to be effective. We have the proof, and it does make a difference. So start by talking to the educators. Usually the school board or the principal are the ones that make decisions about it, but you're going to need a champion at the school to be the coordinator. Maybe a coach, maybe a school counselor, anybody who has a heart for this topic. Let them know about drug-free clubs, and I'm absolutely happy to talk to anybody. My email's on the slides that we're going to send, but it's also, I'll put it in the chat. It's angief@drugfreeclubs.com.
Absolutely. I think that really just brings it back to what we're trying to talk about today is just there are so many potential champions out there. You just don't know who they are yet. Is this something that you're looking to implement or something that you want to be a part of? Like it may not be, you may not be the conductor of the train, but you want to be on the train. Absolutely talk to some other businesses, look at your other coalitions and say, I heard about this really great program. Is this something that we could look more into? And I know that Angie and her team would absolutely be willing to help with that. Another question here. Is there a way for business owners to show visible support in their workplace before schools are involved? So how do they kind of get in on the ground floor?
I would say if you have an informal or even a formal leadership in your business, as you probably do, you could talk to them about the idea of this project and say, hey, I'm thinking about this as a way for us to give back to the community, but then also to build our branding in a really positive light. What do you guys think about this? And more than likely, if you are a business who would like to be engaged with your school, you've probably had a hard time doing that. They're protective for a very good reason. But when you can show the minimal time investment that it will take from the schools, when you can show, especially if you're willing to provide funding to make it possible for them, their budgets are slashed right now, as everybody's are. But if you say, I'm willing to be a financial partner in this as well at $9,000 a year, that's a huge benefit to the school to say, okay, we don't have to worry about that piece of it. Let's make it happen. So start by talking with the core people at your business who may be interested in this topic, especially if your employees have teenagers in the local high schools, even in the local middle schools where they can look up to this happening once they get to high school. We do offer drug-free clubs in grades 6 through 12, but we encourage high schools to do it first, simply because naturally you would think that prevention should start in the middle school years, and it absolutely should. But with this model, it's voluntary. So it has to be something the students want to do. We found over the years, if you start at the middle school level, the older students tend to see it as something that the babies do, and they kind of age out of it. As opposed to if you start in the high school years, then you can add on the middle school years and it becomes sort of a rite of passage, which is a really cool effect. So talk to your core team at your business. Ask them if they'd like this to be something that your brand is aligned with and something you stand up for. And then we can walk you through how to make it happen.
Absolutely. I always think about so many of the sports clubs and sports teams in all the schools that I've worked at and worked for. There are businesses supporting those, and you get the banners on the fields and everything like that. And wouldn't it be great to have support for this? You could still have the banners. You can still support those things, that, your Tommy is in baseball. Um, so those conversations are already happening. Why not add this particularly mission-driven mission? We would love to see that.
Very much so. And we work really hard to give a lot of exposure to the businesses that champion this for their local schools. Of course, typically, if they have the staff that would like to volunteer on a reward day or on a test day, they could go help with checking in the students or giving things out, things along those lines. We also have emails, as I mentioned, that go out to the parents and to the teachers, to the school. We thank our donors and our sponsors on those. There's a lot of ways that you get exposure as a business supporting these chapters.
Absolutely. And I know that I like to see that even without kids of my own, whenever I go in and I see those pictures of like, hey, we support this club, we support this thing. I'm like, all right, this is
Agreed.
a place that I want to spend my money as a customer.
Yeah.
So it's always great to see those.
Not only that, but all the different reward locations, like that community
Mm.
that you saw in Ross County, they have about 60 businesses in their community, in addition to the million rewards that we have through our app. They have gone individually to the businesses. There's about 60 of them that have stickers on their doors that say, "We reward members here." So if I'm a teenager that I'm out on a Friday or Saturday night, or even if I'm a parent, and I see that this business supports my teenager who is in this program, who's chosen to stay drug free, that's incredibly meaningful. When the teenagers see sticker after sticker after sticker, they're like, whoa, okay, my community really cares about this.
Yeah, that's really a fantastic way to, show that we
Mhm.
do all really care. We do
Yes.
want the youth and the teens in our lives to make the smartest and the best choices for them and their futures. And as employers, for our employees to hopefully make the best, the safest, and the best decisions for their future and ours.
Yes.
All right. I don't see any more questions coming in. So just a reminder about the National Drug-Free Workplace Alliance. We can help you out with your own drug testing and drug policies in your workplace. So if you have any questions about those things, please feel free to reach out to us. Um, and if you want to connect with us here at Drug Free America Foundation, please join us at any of those things. But Angie, it was so great to hear from you today. It's so great to see the kids in our lives making smart choices for their futures and hopefully as well for their own place in the workforce and to make great employees and hopefully employers someday. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We
Thank
will
you.
be following up with a follow-up email with these slides and some more information about drug-free clubs. So if you want to know any more about that, please follow up with us. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for giving us a part of your day today, and have a wonderful rest of that. Bye-bye.